A big aloha and welcome. This is Talk Story, the longest running talk show on Maui. It's been years, folks. It's been a long, long time. I do believe it's 30 years. Whew. I am so happy to have Betty Sakamoto in studio. We love Betty.
Aloha.
It's so good to have you back, Betty. Oh, my gosh. Betty had a weekly show here for years and years and years, and a little inside true story. She told me she still keeps the reminder on her phone.
That's the truth. I had so much fun doing it. In reality, wish I hadn't stopped, but we're talking about it, trying to do it again. But I was having a lot of fun doing it. It was once a week, maybe every other week.
Well, we should do it.
But we should do it. It was fun.
We're gonna do Betty Comes Back.
Betty the Comeback.
Betty the Comeback.
The real estate corner comes back around the circle or something.
Well, one of the wonderful things about Betty is that she really does her work because she loves it. And Betty and her husband Roy have been doing it for how many years? Should we tell people how many years you've been doing your real estate up there?
Pretty much 40 plus. We've been together 42 years. And started Sakamoto Properties about 38 years ago. Long time.
And you just had a birthday.
I did. A very serious birthday. But they're all serious now.
No. At a certain point, they become not so serious, right?
Well, somebody posted my age on Facebook.
Why?
Get a grip.
Why?
Really? I don't know. But
I'd block that person forever.
It's fine. Okay, listen. I am 77. I am very fortunate.
Good. You look fabulous. And in fact, we're you know how good you look? You actually invited your videographer to come video this. Now, I mean, come on. That's wonderful. And you went to Las Vegas for your birthday.
We did. We've done that a couple of times over the years. And jokingly, but it's the truth of the matter, there is nowhere in the world any further away from Maui than Las Vegas.
And that's why people go there. And that's why people love going there.
3 days is our limit.
Oh, and I should probably mention we're giving away a trip to Las Vegas, folks. I'll throw this in now. Should I surprise Gary? But we're taking names, and we got the sponsor. And it's 5 days, 4 nights or 5 days, depending on what hotel you stay at. And your food, and your air, and your transfers. Of course, you have to be over 21. Let's see if Gary answers the phone. 244-9533 to get registered for a trip to Las Vegas, because we love you. We do. I mean, we have really adoring, wonderful listeners.
Absolutely.
We have people who just love listening, and so that's good. In fact, a little later on the show, I'm going to have Ron Middig, our engineer, and many other things person come in to talk about how we just improved our signals with our translators and everything, because, we just love people listening, and we have so many people that listen religiously, so we love it. But the reason I talked you into coming today is because you are passionate about people getting out and voting, and I am too. So I called you a couple weeks ago and I said, Betty, we got to do the primary coverage, and you are so freaking generous. I mean, you really are, that you said, yeah, let's do that. We'll sponsor it. And I'm going to be here on election night. And, I bet you half the people listening don't even know when the primaries are. And it's not your fault if you don't know. It's not really been,
No, I agree. I said to you,
know.
I don't know. I mean, I know now because I've got it in front of me. But none of us are paying attention to the primary. And I think if we haven't learned anything yet, let's remember that in the general election, the people we get to vote on to represent us, no matter what the office, they came out of the primary. So if we don't vote in the primary, don't expect that the people you would prefer to run are going to be on the ballot. They may not.
There's so many people, unfortunately, as you and I know, Betty, that have become so cynical, and it doesn't help that there's all these questions about whether the ballots could be tampered with or whether there's interference, and all that stuff just adds to people not trusting the system, which is the worst thing in the world. Because if we here on Maui can't believe we can make a difference, we're really in sad shape, because there aren't that many people on Maui, and I have seen it, you've seen it. And I've been here on primary night where the difference is so close between certain candidates running that I'm going, wow, if there had been 30 more people voting for this person or that, it would have made a difference. So, last time, it was 2 years ago when there was the election, for the primaries, 50% of the people on Maui who were registered voted. Now, that's better than it's been in the past.
For the primary, that's
For
very
the
good.
primaries, that's better. Usually in the past it had been like 30 or 35%, but more people last time kind of knew about it. So now we got to encourage people to come out and vote. And I'm going to tell you, it's August 11th. That's a Saturday. And we're going to do the coverage of it, me and Tom Blackburn Rodriguez. And I'd like to invite you, if you want to come down that night, too, to come join us. It's going to be happening here in the studio from 6 o'clock till
You know something,
whenever.
as you're saying that, I noticed this thing here that I didn't realize. From July 30th to August 9th is early voting.
Yes.
Now, somewhere, I'm not going to say where yet because I'm going to say the wrong place, but I think if we all start thinking about that, we don't have to vote on the 11th.
No.
But we have all those days to vote in the primary.
Early voting is, in the past, been at the election office at the county building. And this year it's changed. And this is going to get a lot of people having to run around and do things. So please listen. It's not at the Wailuku County building anymore. It's this year moved to the Wailuku Community Center, otherwise known as Velma McWayne Santos. But it's the Wailuku Community Center starting on July 30th through August 9th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can do early walk-in voting. Now, here's the thing on that. You need to be registered to vote, correct? Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. Now, you can still, this is good news, you can still register on Election Day for the primaries on the 11th. But you can't do the early walk-in voting, I don't think. I'm going to look on this one. But you can still get registered, okay? They're making it as easy. They really are trying to make it as easy as possible.
There's too many people that are not registered. And I learned that during one of the last elections where someone very close to me, at first when I was saying that you need to vote, and I suddenly realized that this person not only was not voting, but wasn't registered.
Yeah.
I also heard someone that said, my husband votes for us. Now, as a woman,
That's just
as
terrible.
two women here,
What
yes.
is wrong with that? Oh, my gosh.
Well, it's archaic.
You know what? Women fought so hard.
That's
They
what I said to
fought
her.
so hard
Yes.
for a vote.
That we
I
have
mean-
to take care of that. There's movies about this issue.
Yes,
Women that
there
lost their families,
I know.
that lost their jobs, that lost everything trying to fight for the vote. We
And-
have to vote.
And you know what? There are families and couples that are of different, completely different beliefs.
But that's okay.
But that's okay.
Just
you know?
vote.
I have a sister who was about as opposite as me as possible in her political beliefs. And for me, it's a good practice in a way because I've learned, okay, this is my sister. I love her. On top of that, now she's got cancer. I've just learned that I don't bring up certain subjects like voting in politics. I can still love her. I disagree with her 100% in her thinking, but I still can love her, right?
You got to love her.
You got to love her. And that we can be absolutely different in our thinking. You could be sitting here thinking totally different than me, but we'd both agree it's important to get out there
That's
and
right.
vote, right?
I truly don't care anymore who somebody votes for.
Yeah.
As long as we all vote. And if it comes close and whoever it was that I wanted doesn't win, so be it. I mean, I've got to also, like you're saying, I've got to respect that other 50% or 70% or whatever it turns out to be. Because if we all vote, eventually we're going to learn, if we're paying attention, we're going to learn who's going to be best for the next time.
Yes.
And then when someone's elected, let's do our best to support them.
Yeah.
That's our system.
And
That's
it's
the
a hard
American way.
system, but it is, and it's been put to the test, absolutely been put to the test. There's no doubt about that. But we see it here on this radio station. I have my beliefs, but, I listen in the evening. We have Rush Limbaugh in the morning, and there's people who won't listen to the station because we have Rush Limbaugh in the morning. However, we have entirely different politics in the afternoon and evening, and so we carry right in the morning, left in the evening, both sides, and sometimes we have people that get mad at us for doing both. The
I'm
people
sure.
in the evening get mad at us for doing what we do in the morning, and sometimes people in the morning get really mad at what we do in the evening. But the idea is you're listening to this radio station because it does give you something to think about. it gives you some information. It gives you some education. And even if you listen and disagree, it's better to know than to not know. It's better to know even what the other side that you don't agree with is thinking.
Absolutely.
Than not
No
to
question.
know, right? And I have to say, John Detz does most of the programming, and he does it with a passion. I mean, he absolutely loves information and news. He's a news addict. And he is. I mean, I'm bombarded with news, you know. And so really we try to bring you the best in news, whether it's the right or the left. And maybe never the twain shall meet. But they will on the primary night. They will
That's
on
right.
August 11th there. And it's not what I think. It's what the people voting think, you know. And it's kind of interesting the way you get to whatever reason you are for voting. I mean, I think it's interesting on this island that a lot of people seem to vote for people they know because it's a small island, and that's you know kind of
That's who you believe in,
yeah,
though.
that's true. It's who you believe in, or maybe it's someone who is kind of along the same line of thinking that you are probably, you know. But you have enough time right now to educate yourself, and there's certainly a lot of avenues to do that, you know, to get out there and find out what's going on, you know. And I hope that you just don't vote for a name because it sounds like a name that you like. Maybe you understand a little bit.
I'm sure we've all done that at some time.
I know. I
But
have to admit it.
Let's try to not do it this year. Let's try to. We've got enough time starting now before the primary. So let's give ourselves the opportunity to check on people, to think about it, and come up with our best opinion.
Yeah.
Don't steal the opinion that your husband has just because he has it.
Absolutely true.
Or
Yeah.
even friends. I mean, just figure it out for yourself. And if you're wrong later, okay, so be it.
Well, we have to understand in politics, politicians try to keep it very, very simple. If you were really going to vote on what is on a sign, you'd be making a mistake. I mean, anyone can put anything on a sign, but there's stuff behind that. So if you can do a little education and find out, that's great, you know. Even if you can't, your vote makes a difference. And I have to say there's another element, and you know this as well as anyone knows it. You know, you have a certain feeling when you actually are participating in that voting. When you're actually either, and it's another interesting fact, last year 50% of the voters were absentee ballots. 50%.
And if you can't figure out how to absentee vote, you're really in trouble because that is pretty easy. It's almost too easy. But
Well,
I think it's a great way. It's, again,
it's
American way.
because, again, it's the thing is a lot of people don't want to bother getting out, you know, to the polling place, etc. Or they travel a lot. You have a lot of clients that live
Absolutely.
here part-time or
Yep.
travel, you know, or traveling. You travel a lot.
Not as much as you think. But.
You travel all the time. Whenever I call Betty, she says, I'm just getting on a plane. How many times have I seen you on a plane or an airport or VIP waiting room or something? I've seen you many times, right?
Yeah, I suppose, but it's not as much as you think. We do really 3 to 4 day trips. We
That's
have
a good way to
never
go.
been away for a week.
Well, it's because you're
It's,
building miles. You're like my friend Christine Wong.
That's right, we're
because
into
you're
the
building
miles.
your miles up.
No, we just don't have time.
Yeah.
You know,
Is
because we're
that
still
why?
run. Yeah, absolutely. We just can't. We don't choose to be away from our office that long.
Oh, interesting.
And or our 3 cats.
Well, that's
So
another
let's get
thing,
down.
right? Your 3 cats can survive alone for 3 days, but 4 days maybe, but that's
no,
it.
no, they have help. There's always somebody with them.
That's good.
They're never alone, but it
but
just
after
no, it's
4
really,
days, they get really mad and they go on strike.
they go on strike
Okay.
after 4 days. So
We don't want to see
It's,
that. That could be nasty greeting when you get back home.
It
They're
is.
all lying there.
no, we just have
staring
always
at you.
found if we're gone 3 to 4 days, it's enough for us. We
Yeah.
love being here. We love Maui. We love our home. We love our business. So we kind of don't need to. And I think Maui is an amazing place. Again, another reason why we've all got to pay attention. We've got to vote. We need help in many things here. We've had problems with the roads. We've had problems with all sorts of stuff.
Oh, boy, yeah.
And we need to pay attention, vote people in. And then when the person's in, we also need to take a moment and tell them what it is that we want and need, because our wants and needs matter. Even if it's a note, there's got to be a way anymore to email, to text, or to do something to let our politicians know what would help us, what would help our community, what would help our neighbors. So it's worth it. I mean, let's try to, even when our guy or girl doesn't get in, let's take that moment and say welcome, or whatever the word would be for that. But, you know, say something, congratulations, And this is what we need.
That's the way the system works.
It would work very good that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way the system works. Now, first-time voters, let's see, what do you need? Proof of identification. So if you're going to be registering, when you can, this is wonderful. You don't have to be registered already to vote, but you need to bring a current and valid photo identification. So a lot of times that could be, and it is for most people, your driver's license, right?
Yes.
Or you could take a passport, right? And
Passport would work.
Passport, yeah. And you need a current utility bill or bank statement, government check, paycheck that shows your name and address.
You need that in addition to your license.
Yeah, you need some place
Really?
that has your address.
Boy, I
and
didn't
your
know
others,
that.
but
Okay.
but they want to see your home address. That's if you don't have your home address on your driver's license, they need to see one valid that has your home address, right? That's your proof of where you're living. So that's pretty simple, right?
It is simple, but I think again, maybe now even take a moment and say that again, because I didn't know that. And now I happen to have been registered forever, and I don't believe there's anything I have to do. But to think you'd have to be there with your driver's license or a passport and possibly your electric bill and something
that prove where
definitely
you live.
shows where you live.
Where you live, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you haven't got your voting information in the mail by now, you probably are not registered. You should have already gotten it in the mail. Did you get yours in the mail? Your information in the mail?
Don't recall seeing it.
Don't.
But
then you might check on that.
We will, because I believe we're registered. It would be shocking that we would suddenly be unregistered. But I'll look at it.
I got it a week ago, and so you should already have it, right? So that's important, So this is also interesting. You may not know this. You can be a precinct official if you're 16 years or older. And a registered voter in the state of Hawaii by election day. Did you know that you can be registered, but you can't vote at 16? You can start voting at 18. Did you know that? 18 years old and you can vote.
No, I didn't.
See?
Well, wait a minute. Yes, I did, because one of my grandkids voted last year.
And that
And
is...
he was 18.
This, to me, is also a fascinating thing, is we are starting to see young people get really involved. We're starting to see people who start to care. And this is also very interesting. You can, if you're 18, I think even 16, I'll double check on that, you can get a job working the precincts. And they'll pay you. They'll pay you. I mean, you actually get paid for that day. What a great way of learning about the whole voting process.
To learn the system.
To learn the system, to see who's coming in and voting. Just observing will teach you so much. I think young people who start getting involved right now and maybe do that have a chance to actually become leaders, have a chance to maybe follow that system and run for office. These are people, if they're out there working and helping in the polls and getting paid for it, I think they'll encourage other people.
I think so,
other
too.
young people to get out and vote.
Great job.
Yeah.
Great. The young people that I during the last presidential election, an interesting thing that I heard from, let's say, the voters from, let's say, 18 to 20, that were mostly the first-time voters. There were a number of them that I think had gotten the point that they were tired of all the rhetoric. They were tired of what everyone was saying.
Yep.
And I argued mindlessly with a couple of people about the fact that they were not going to vote for X or Y or Z. They were going to vote for Q or C or something to show everybody. They were going to show the whatever.
I remember
they were not going to vote for someone that was a part of all the rhetoric that was going on.
Yep. No, this is true. And this is emotional voting.
That's right.
Is not a good way to go.
No.
It actually brings the whole system down.
Well,
and maybe that's what you're trying to do in your anger, is bring the system down.
I don't think so. I just think that they thought that would make a difference.
I know.
But it doesn't make a difference.
No.
There's only a few people that are going to be on any given ballot that even have a small chance of winning.
Right.
You got to figure that part out and then choose one of them.
Right.
And even if you don't like either one of them, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the one that you believe you can live with for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then work with them. I mean, don't work against them every minute. Let's work with them. But you've got to choose one of them. You can't go for some obscure person that nobody's ever heard of just to teach some mystery system. not going to work.
And this is actually a huge factor that you're bringing up, because it does and it has affected outcomes of elections. There's no doubt about it.
No question. It
has.
does.
It
Absolutely.
has. And, okay, here's the thing. It's better voting than not voting. But if you're going to vote in a way that's destructive to the person, the system in a way, is that ballot? I mean, yeah, it's still your way of expressing yourself, but it's not smart.
No, that's kind of what I
bottom line.
think.
It's just not smart, right?
No.
So try to be a smart voter as well, which again takes a little education. You've got to realize there's always going to be people who may not agree with you, like you say. So you pick the one that you may have some qualities you think that really could be valuable, for whatever. It takes a little bit of work, and people these days don't have a lot of time, but there's so many ways, even if you're just using your iPhone, or whatever, your cell phone, or you're just checking stuff out online. You can do it quickly with some of the things that are out there and the tools that are out there. And even if you just do a little homework the day before you go in to vote, it can be done in a day. You can educate yourself even in a day.
Even just watching the newspapers.
Yes, that's
now, I
true.
know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are now looking at the newspapers on their phone also, which
They
is
are.
a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about, get the newspapers on your iPhone, because it'll give
That's
you a
right.
few minutes here and there to look things up. I think you can even break it down into parts of it.
Yeah,
And
Maui
then-
Time, Maui News, and the online services.
Hawaii News
that-
Now.
how they all have that ability with the apps. So,
I think
yeah.
it's really
It is.
it's a great system to be
Yeah.
able. And there's some other somewhat unusual shows that are on now. The one that's on HBO, and that won't help us in any election here, but it's very funny. Yesterday's news today,
Oh,
or you know what I
the
mean?
one on Sunday night.
I think so.
The one on Sunday night. John Oliver.
John Oliver.
Last week tonight.
Last week tonight.
I love that show.
I love it. It's
I
so
love that
funny.
show.
It's funny.
He does a lot of homework.
Oh,
he
absolutely. And,
is
you don't
so
have to
passionate.
agree.
No, but he's so funny.
He's hysterical. And he hits it right on.
He does.
Every week, whatever you heard that day,
Yeah.
the odds are it's going to be on when you listen to a
Well,
show.
some of these people do a lot of homework, and I mean, I don't want to give away politics, but Rachel Maddow, I mean, I always enjoy the work she does to bring a point home. And she's a woman who's just got a huge raise, and I respect the fact that she's worth millions and getting paid a lot of money as a woman, you
Yep.
know. So, I mean, that is like, okay, here's a woman. And I've been around the media business long enough to know where you couldn't ever get a chance if you were a woman to be able to have your own news show and stuff. So I appreciate the fact that that's going on. And again, we run Rachel Maddow in the evenings as we have Rush in the mornings, you know. And both are good at being able to communicate. So they're doing a lot of the homework for you.
and they're both good to listen to.
And they're both entertaining to listen to.
Absolutely.
And you can scream if you want to scream at them. Fine.
That's right.
That's okay. Just don't you don't hit anything. Don't break
hit
it.
anything.
Don't hit
No, I
anything.
think you're right, because what you said earlier on that issue is, let's say you start with Rush. You don't have to agree with anything he says, or maybe every so often he hits it right on the head and you do agree. But it's okay to hear the opinion and then go to the other side and listen. And even if you're doing that about our politics here, you've just got to find the right shows. Listen to what's going on. Read the newspaper. The Maui News, I love.
Yeah, I do
we
too.
get it delivered to our
I do
house.
too.
We read it always.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they do a really great job.
I agree. And so here's the thing. How would you like, you can be any age, 16 or older, to become a precinct official? Now, you get paid. It's a long day, but you will learn a lot. You have to be 16 years or old on or before June 30th, so that'd be now. Be a registered voter, be able to read and write English, and attend a training session. They have a training session, and you pass a certification exam. Restrictions: no parent, spouse, child, or sibling of a candidate should be eligible for obvious reasons to serve. That brings up another thing. They are not going to allow people to go out and try to convince people outside a precinct on which way you should vote.
No,
Obviously,
shouldn't be happening.
that's not going to happen. No candidate for elective office shall be eligible to serve as a precinct official. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Questionable, yes. Frequently asked questions. What will I be doing on election day? You'll be working in a polling place assisting voters through the election process. You're not trying to influence them. You're assisting them. Will I be trained? Yes, you will be trained by the Office of Elections. Where will I work? State law requires precinct officials to work in the polling place which they vote. However, if no vacancies exist within your polling place, you'll be placed in a neighboring polling place. Will I be paid? Yes. The compensation rates for each election work ranges from $85 to $175. And you can ask what bracket you would fall under. So I suggest if you are a young person and maybe belong to a group, with, how some of there's wonderful groups like, have you seen how amazing these bands are in some of the high schools? Can you imagine if I've seen bands with hundreds of people.
No, they do have hundreds.
Get the bands together, get your taiko drummers together, get a group together and get out there and do this together. And you'll raise funds for the group. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it says on our list here, this is an excellent fundraising opportunity for any group, club, or organization. Mm-hmm. Hey, wait, I just found another one that I haven't thought about.
The real estate professionals?
Well, they're all voting, I hope.
Okay.
Time off for voting. And remember this one. Hawaii law provides that you may be allowed 2 hours of time away from work to vote. So there's no
most
reason.
People don't know that.
No, and probably most employers don't.
Yeah.
But I would think, like, let's say where our office is located,
In
certainly
Napili.
we're in Napili, with 2 hours could get away, or we would give them whatever it took.
Right.
Because we all should be voting. But I think for a lot of people, when you think about that and you think, oh, I just can't leave work, talk to your employer and talk now and mention the dates. And that'll be good because I think your employer would also want to assist you and then use it as a possible policy within the office. Mm-hmm. And then everybody's voting and you're not all trying to go at the same time. Somebody could come in late, somebody could leave early. Mm-hmm. But I think I totally forgot about that. I remember it from probably 40 years ago, but I haven't thought about it for a long time.
And you know what? August 11th isn't that far away, folks. I mean, really, we're talking, this weekend, we got 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah, it's going to come up on us quickly.
August 11th is coming up quickly. So you want to be prepared. And I think, good idea, tell your employer ahead of time. Because a lot of people do work on Saturdays, whether it's, hotel industry people, restaurants, etc.
In Maui, if you think about it, probably 60% or 70% of the people work on Saturdays, if not every Saturday. I don't know how many people, if you took every working person in Maui or in Hawaii, what percentage work in the hotel industry. It's got to be huge.
It is huge.
So that those people definitely work Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So they need time off to vote.
But you have to remember this, too. You can do early walk-in voting. Now, again, if you're up in Napili to get into the Wailuku Community Center, how long does it take you to get here from where you were? 40 minutes?
Excellent question.
It changes every day.
It changes every hour.
About 45 minutes, though.
I'd say you really need to give yourself an hour.
Yeah.
But I will say this.
And getting back maybe two.
And maybe two. I've got to say this. The change in the road, which I was very negative about.
Do you like that, the bypass?
I think it's really helped. Mm-hmm. Now, I think when we go into, like, the December period, our really top season, I'm still a little skeptical. I can't.
About where it lands up at the bottom, about the backup there, is that what you're thinking?
I mean, I still think we're going to see a major backup. But for the moment, it's better than it was. It's better than it was. We still need more in West Maui, but I think
I took it for the first time. I was doing this judging at Sing It at Lahaina Cannery Mall, Sing It Maui.
Yeah.
And I was amazed. It was great. All I could say is maybe you need another access road off to the right before you get to the highway at Lahaina Cannery Mall. I don't see why they couldn't make one more road that goes over a little further or something, or a little bit before, because it does, it could bottleneck down there at the bottom. So if you had one other road to get to, maybe before and after.
It should have kept, well, I don't think
there.
we should go there.
No, we shouldn't go there.
We can drive ourselves a little crazy. It's a little better. I think people worked really, really hard on it, and they gave us their best.
Yeah.
Probably what we really need.
And it's a well-built road.
We need to go through the mountain.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to take, we've got some heads here saying, yeah. I moved here 42 years ago, and they were talking about the bypass.
Yeah.
So now we have a bypass, which is okay.
Yeah.
It's good, and again, way better than I expected. But now when people And I know that people are interested in it. I actually heard our mayor once talk about the possibility. Mm-hmm. And I think we should all, if it's what we think will work, we should all be making requests, sending letters in, doing whatever. But someday they have to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe it won't be old-time Maui, but it's our future.
Yeah.
And most of us are doing something that relates to tourism and to people able to come here and enjoy our fabulous island.
Well, I agree, because, I mean, how many times have people that I know say, I just don't want to go up to Lahaina because I just don't know how long it's going to take to get there or to come back, and more often than we'd like to hear.
Absolutely.
That can
way
happen.
more often.
Yeah. I mean, and you do it quite a bit. You drive back and forth, and there's times you go, you don't know.
Terrible.
So when I was doing weddings ages ago, I mean, I literally stopped doing weddings up in Kaanapali because once or twice I got stuck for 2 hours, and it's very stressful if you're supposed to be a minister at a wedding and you can't show up because you're stuck in traffic,
No, it's a major problem, and I think that it has hurt West Maui in many ways. Mm-hmm. But it's still the most fabulous place in the world.
It is.
So I'm still with it.
You've been doing Napili for ages up there, and it's really been, it's interesting because you were talking about how special, before the show began, how special it is, and you have to understand Napili is a very unique community. It's an enclave community, and people know it and love all the differences of it. It's very different than Wailea. It's very different than any other community. So, and you've got, you're people that love the area, the uniqueness of the area.
The real competition for Wailea is Kapalua, which is where our primary market is. Our office is in Napili. But Kapalua is absolutely one of the greatest places in the world.
Yeah.
And we'll hear, especially from, we jokingly, our realtor buddies from Wailea will say it always rains. And I've gotten to where I remind anyone that's ever heard the story of Camelot, okay, Kapalua, it rains a little more, but it never rains till after sundown.
That's right.
And by 8 a.m., the morning fog has flown.
And that's why it makes it so nice.
Absolutely.
And lush and green.
It is lush and green and beautiful.
And you have great golf courses there.
And fabulous golf courses.
Yeah.
And great restaurants and super hotels. You can go to the Ritz-Carlton.
That's right.
Why not?
I love
the
the
Ritz.
Ritz.
I love the Ritz.
Yeah, and there's also, we're going to be talking in the future about other options and opportunities that are going to be arising of things that you're involved in there, because you've been very involved in the community and supporting the community. I have to say, you helped raise a lot of money and brought other people in to raise a lot of money for Lahaina Luna. And I have to say, there's nothing quite like the Lahaina Luna community and the history of that place, and how the people pull and draw together to make that place as special. That high school is amazing.
It's an amazing high school. Lahaina Luna, oldest school in the United States west of the Rocky Mountains. 2 years ago, basically, it's actually probably a little more than that now, the Sudi Cooley Field was completed, which gave the kids of Lahaina Luna the first actual football field they had, plus soccer and track. And it made a difference. My daughter ran track for Lahaina Luna at a time that you were running in not dirt like it was good. I mean, dirt, potholes, etc. They would have to come over to the Wailuku area in order to practice.
I didn't know that.
Yes. There's so many stories about Lahaina Luna, but this field has changed everything for them. In the last 2 years, they won the state championship, Division II, for football. Unbelievable.
Really?
Last year they
You
won.
must have been there screaming them on, yelling.
Screaming them on. They won in 7 overtimes,
Wow.
which is history making
Wow.
for almost anywhere in the world. 7 overtimes in a football game.
That's so fantastic.
It was really great. Lahaina Luna.
And you helped
is
make that
super.
dream come true.
Oh,
for that
we were
stadium.
so fortunate.
Yeah.
Mrs. Cooley, Sudi Cooley,
Yeah.
who was here with me on the show.
And she stayed with you for a while too.
Oh, she was. We were very close. She always had her own places here, but we loved her so much. I miss her so much. It'll be 2 years coming up since she's gone.
She truly made a difference by helping out in that wonderful
did.
thing.
And she also helped.
That's not now; it's for the future. And
For the
what's gonna
future.
be? Yeah.
She also did a lot for Halemakua, which
Oh,
was
right. That's another.
millions
Roy's
of dollars.
on the. You're both on the board of directors.
No,
there.
Roy's on the board,
of
and he's
directors.
been on the board for 30-some years. And Sue Cooley stepped into that early on when she realized that Roy was involved in it, and just with the question, what can I do? And she's done some amazing things, and what she's done has carried on to now. because she also has funds that are available that she left there. We were hoping to do a thing called the greenhouse, which is we'll talk about that one other day about something, but it was really interesting for new ways. But Halemakua continues to be a fabulous, wonderful place that takes care of, theoretically, our frail and elderly, but it could be anybody. It could be anybody that needs help. It could be a child. It could be a teenager. It could be a stroke victim. So Halemakua is an amazing part of our community.
I've known many people that have gone there and been helped, and it is a very important place. I was blessed to be able to do a radio show for years, but of course their CEO at that time was doing the show, and he's now left after many, many years of
There's
service.
a great new CEO.
I haven't met him yet.
He's fabulous. He was the CEO from the hospital.
Oh, Wes?
Yeah. Wes is the Halemakua CEO.
I love Wes.
I love him
I
too.
didn't know that he was the CEO.
He is. He's brought so much. I mean, we all miss Tony.
Yeah, Tony was awesome.
The new CEO has he's kind of stepping it up, I think. You know, he's had everything that was left to him, which was really great, and he's moving it along. I think it's going to be better and better. They've got so many great ideas. The Halemakua Luau, I'll check with you about, is going to be coming up in September. I think it's September 8th.
Yeah.
But that's really been a great fundraiser and a lot of fun.
Well, Ron's going to be coming in a minute, but he's probably out there doing something. But before we finish with you, I do want to again encourage people to listen in. I hope you can come. Check your schedule if you're going to be around August 11th, because we're going to start the coverage at 6 and go till we get the final. You never know. Oh, there's Ron. Yay. So listen in on that night, and make sure you get out and vote, and it will make a difference. And I really look forward to having you back on the air, Betty. We just adore you.
Oh, thank
Everyone
you.
here
This has
adores
been fun.
you. We feel like you're part of our family.
It was fun just walking through the door.
I know. It was great seeing you.
And
It's
one
been too
last
long.
thing.
Yes.
If you're not registered, register to vote.
Absolutely. And don't forget, early voting starting June 30th at the Wailuku Community Center, and that goes till August 9th. And if you'd missed that, then you can vote on August 11th at your polling place.
Perfect.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Thank you. We love
Aloha.
you. Aloha.